答えは常に塔の上にある。
間に合う。間に合ったな。アリーナに売店ぐらいあるよな。
After school.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Webtoon segment of the podcast. Jam-packed this episode, a lot to cover here, man. We're talking about Gotta High School and Lookism. By the next episode, hopefully the new chapter for Tower of God will be out.
New chapter for Tower of God will be out, hopefully.
Feels like it's been forever, man.
Dude, I can't wait, man. I hope he's got his rest, and I hope when he comes back as juicy as ever. I don't know about you guys, but I gotta reread some chapters, like, in order to fully understand where I'm at right now. All I know is Caliban is still a bitch, and Bam hasn't showed his true potential. That's all I know.
Yeah, so maybe...
Yeah, I gotta reread like
maybe next episode we could do a recap of the current arc that we're in.
Hey, that's an idea.
I don't remember which chapter it starts at, but yeah, what happens, just to summarize real quick, is they already broke through the defensive wall, and now we're going in fighting the Jihad army. And there's some info that's been dropped in those chapters, but yeah, it'd be good to just refresh, go back to that arc for sure, at least for me.
Definitely, I think that too. I think so.
Yeah,
too.
and then so hopefully the new chapter will be out by the time we record next time, because on the blog post it did say around mid-November, so that could be within 2 weeks from now. So yeah, I'm very interested to see how different it might be, if the writing's going to be different, art style, all that, now that he's had like a time to take a breather. So, man, let's go ahead and get into this. Gotta High School, man. We're covering chapters 217 to 269. A lot of stuff happened here. This is basically the first main section for the fifth, I guess, season or whatever they call it for Gotta High School, titled Ragnarok here. I think this is probably my favorite arc right now.
There's a lot of good content that they brought out into this arc. One of the things that really stood out to me is they delved further into what it means to be like a descendant, like from bloodlines. They came out with something called lineal descendants. Mm-hmm. So like certain characters have it. One character to note would be Commissioner Q or Judge Q, if you guys remember. He's got the clown powers. I really like the idea of introducing these things, as it now delves into like more or less a more specific niche for certain characters to basically break through that glass ceiling. Because some of these characters with their powers, you kind of get in a certain idea like, okay, that's cool. It's not OP, but it's cool. And now it's like, okay, well, maybe if they're part lineal, or maybe if they're from the bloodline of their power, they're anyway related to the original power user, which I think the way they explained it, they have like basically like an awakening. I'm going to say it's more aligned the same thing like when you awaken your devil fruit.
Yeah, they definitely showed off the two sides of this. The OP side with, of course, Hercules with the guy from the American team. And then, with Q with the Joker, because like they mentioned in the flashback, I think it was, where it's like, oh, that's a lower blood class or whatever, so that power is not as strong as it could be. But yeah, it's real interesting stuff. I like it a lot because it brings more variation into how we're going to see people fight. The genuine fighters, there's not a whole lot of them, right? Everybody's got borrowed powers. And then there's just the god beings like Morihjin. And to add like direct descendants of the person using the borrowed power, that's cool, because now like that gives them an even greater edge into fighting. And we'll see what happens in the coming chapters with the boy Dawi, but as we mentioned before, right, like there's that person from the 6 who kind of looks like him. Maybe there's something that could be at play with that.
How do you explain Anna with her fucking Superman powers?
Oh, she's from America, so I think that's why. But that's cool.
What was her borrow power called again? She had.
No, it's a Bauer power. I forget what it's called.
She had Thor.
Yes,
Thor.
that's right.
It was Thor.
Yeah, it was Thor. Yeah. And you know what that kind of reminds me of? Because you just mentioned One Piece. That's like the S-class fruits, right? Where it's just like you're going to be OP no matter what because you have this ability.
Practically deemed, invulnerable or invincible, Aside from the S-class tier, I just think that even if you didn't have an S-class tier power, the fact that you're a lineal descendant, gives you a little bit of boost, an edge. Kind of like how, the first time they were introducing Awakening, it's Luffy versus what's his face, Cracker Jack, and they're basically explaining how Awakening powers work. I just think that's a little like hand in hand to where they're kind of like going like towards the next step of using your power, because it's the same power. You know that you're already hitting the glass ceiling. You're just basically going through the next step.
I can't wait to see Q break his glass ceiling, because he has so much potential. Probably my favorite judge, up there with the waifu dragon.
Can we talk about O for a second? How badass was it when I didn't like assume, I don't really think it was more of a plot twist, but how badass is it that he just manages to convince the other dragon to just like, yeah, just fuck it, just be my dragon. There wasn't too much of a push for that. I just feel like it was like natural for him to eventually want to turn around and be like, you know what, I gotta go with this girl or whatever the case is. Like,
I don't know about you guys, but I should have seen that coming, because we've seen him more than once. Like, he's a polymorph. I didn't even know you can get those as your borrowed power. Besides that fact, like, I should have just seen that coming, because he's a dragon. He has a dragon as a borrowed power, so like.
Yeah, it kind of just goes hand in hand, right?
But still, like, I didn't think you can. Oh well, you know what? No, I stepped on my foot. I put my foot in my mouth right there. I forgot about the King Uma putting her soul into Bayek.
The boy.
I want to see more of Andre, because he was really about the fight, and he had the fucking fact that he was fucking wronged in his life, just for him to just keep moving on and fight in this tournament. Because that's honestly all he was expecting, was just fight, maybe let off some anger of his fucking so-called ex-wife and like leaving him and shit. He was just expecting just to let off some steam, probably. But no, like, he wasn't even fighting the people he was fighting. They were all fucking like mannequins. So, by the way, can I just appreciate like the fucking what's the judge's name? The female with the mannequin.
P.
Appreciate the fact that she has a joystick, imaginary joystick in one hand.
Dude, she was doing she's doing the fighting game inputs. Yeah,
it's so good, bro. Andre, he has a lot of potential. I feel like, and I feel like we'll see him later on as the story goes on, because the more righteousness the characters have, and you see inside them, they're gonna like come back and have like a bigger part. Like, I was gonna say, even with the Nox priests. You know, the ones that went up on the bridge to fight Mira and Daiwi?
Oh, yeah.
At least not the big dude, but at least the dude who was using the Tai Chi, and then the archer. Maybe some of the enemies like expecting something out of them maybe later. Because I feel like Nox might not be like the end all evil. Like, the king might be just going off doing his own shit. Because you saw like the king tried, or what's the fucking Kalios? You defy the king, right? The guy with the fucking Omega in his eyes.
Oh, yeah.
With the white hair.
You're talking about Majin or whatever his name is?
Magios?
Fucking Korean, yeah.
You're the kid who was originally in a wheelchair?
Yeah, like, I just feel like with that, it's gonna, like, there might be something bigger later on in the story, because the way it's going right now, like, with all the arcs happening, like, it's just getting bigger on itself. Like a good example for that would be like with Mori Jin. Remember, you know how he's in like in the other world right now with Park.
Yeah.
Like, remember when he was gonna fight the ruler of the 6th floor, I think, and like that tiger with the crab claws or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then it turns out there's another bigger fucking boss besides him. Like, has been there the whole fucking time, just watching. He's just huge. That's the way I feel like the whole fucking story of God of High School is going. Like, it's just gonna get bigger in size, bigger in like
scale,
ideas.
Oh yeah,
so
yeah, I understand.
Nox might not, Nox might not be the bad guy right now. The king might not even be the bad guy right now. It might be something bigger, But,
yeah, it'll definitely go beyond that. I feel.
Yeah, I just hope they do that well, because as I was reading these chapters, I was like, this feels like it's really ending. Like, this is it, and I think a lot of that comes with Mori Hugh and like how he's fighting, like the desperation with him, the build up with Mori Jin coming back. for this final fight with the king, the backstory set up with him, and like the origin of genuine fighters and borrow powered users, you know? I was thinking, yeah, once this is
Wrapping
over,
it all together nicely.
yeah, I was like, what's next? What's a bigger threat after this? And I talked to our mutual friend about that because I'm like, there's still 200 chapters. Like, I can't see where it goes from here. He's like, oh, trust me, it's going to get more ridiculous. And I'm like, okay. I'm looking forward to it, but I hope the transition is nice.
I hope it should come out pretty smooth, hopefully. I mean, if this and Tower of God, honestly, are both like Eiichiro Oda
level of
like
content
levels
here.
of fucking characters and content and all that. So
yeah.
I can speak for all of us when we say we're expecting this to get pretty wild.
I think honestly, this thing is about to do like a total flip. I think that the plot is going to grow into something that we didn't really expect it to go into. I think it's going to turn into, more or less. I couldn't describe it per se, but I feel like maybe they're going to try to maybe throw in like a time skip or something, just based off of the fact that every single time there seems to be a lot of destruction. You know, they have to kind of like, you know, show a little montage or like go a little forward into the future so we can kind of see how things can resume normally rather than just immediately after like all of this shit is happening.
If you think about it, isn't it technically going through a time skip right now? Because you got Mori Jin just out there in the other world, and every week is like 3 months or something.
Every hour in the God realm is like a day, I think. I don't know. I forget what the conversion is.
Yeah, but it's pretty fucky. So it's like, on one hand, you got daily life just going on without Mori Jin, and you got Mori Hugh in his place. But then on one hand, it's like you got Mori Jin out here just trying to survive a day at a time.
But yeah, I think after this fight, I could totally see like a big gap in the time skip. I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Just because of the scale it is, right? There's a lot that has to unpack and resettle before we get onto the next dilemma that our crew has to go through. I think Mira is the one that stole the show for this arc, aside from Morihyu, of course. But gosh, just the way her arc was progressing and her desperation, right? Because she has to go and help Dawei make sure he doesn't, die. Her fight with, I'm just gonna say like her uncle or something. Whoever that is, right? The other person using
the other swordmaster.
Yeah, using the moon sword technique or whatever it's called. Gosh, that fight was great.
That was so good. Oh my god, Mira, she fucking.
I fucking love her fight against Ryu. I was super into like the whole shipping for Dawei and Mira. Like, I just think that the answer was in front of them the whole time. They just didn't really pay that much attention to it until it finally happened. I'm like watching that part where they're like, changing clothes after the rain, waiting for everything to be done. Mm-hmm. And she's like constantly thinking about, I can't let him die. I don't know what to do. I can't make up my mind. Like, what should I do? And he like she finally tells him, I know that this is supposed to be about Mori Jin, but fuck, this is like, at this point, I officially stopped caring about Mori Jin.
Yeah.
I was like, these are the main characters for me right now. Like, this is what's really popping.
I think you're alone on there because everybody else is like, yo, where the fuck is Mori Jin? Like in the fucking comics.
Yeah, like almost every chapter, they were like, when's Mori Jin coming back?
I'll be very honest with you. I do not read those comments. And I really never have.
Honestly, like, when I say read, I mean, like, I don't even like click on the rest of the comments. I just look at like a top 3 when I go to the next story.
Yeah, almost every comment every time is like, can't wait for Mori to come back. Like, oh, it's been a while since Mori hasn't been in a chapter, and I get it because when Mori steps in, it's pretty hype. Like I mentioned last episode, like it took a while for people to finally accept Morihyu to be there because they were like, I just want Mori Jin back. But I agree with you, Oscar, as far as like what it doesn't even matter on Mori's side because for one, I think him fighting these gatekeepers is not going to affect the plot in any way. I just can't see it happening.
No, not at all.
No.
It's just something for him to do while he's getting ready to go back to Earth. But like we said it before we recorded, where I was like, they kept teasing Mori is going to come so hard, and he never did during these crucial moments.
Oh yeah, bro.
You know, to the point where I'm
Fuck.
just like,
Yeah.
what's the point, man? Like stop trying to tease us super hard. Like,
Instead, he just sends Yoi, which only works for like a couple minutes.
yeah, it was cool that he was able to send his staff through the portal and so Morihyu to do it. I thought that was a great moment for Morihyu, right? Because that's sort of like essentially passing on the torch type of deal with him. But of course, that's where we got the realization that Morihyu's not even close to Morijin's power level.
And he still got rocked.
Which is another, it's going to be another problem. Like once Mori steps in, like how big of a power gap is there going to be between him and I guess his backstory was, for me, it felt like a twist and I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is to keep it, I guess interesting because what they did with King, I was like, oh, okay, it's something you would see in a shonen like this, like high fantasy shonen, you know, kind of like in Dragon Ball with Piccolo and I guess right now with Moro and Super.
It was very last minute because obviously it was such a small, to be fair, it's a powerful detail, but it's also a small detail. That's why it was so easily introduced at the very last second, right at 269, right at the beginning of the Ragnarok arc, you know? I feel as though it would have been better, seeing as how he was the first creation, for him to look a little bit more like him. And I know that all of the clones at the end look like him, like all the Dantes, and I guess that's the point, right? That they have perfected the cloning process, like a physical capacity, but not really to the point where they can all like 100% control the power that they needed to, like he could. The first creation, which supposedly was deemed a failure, has lasted so long and all this time and is able to withstand all of that stuff and energy and endurance to hold on to his power, but doesn't look anything like him. I was like, so like, how did that? I think that they need to go more into how he was created. If that was, I mean, probably it's not even going to be relevant, you know, at this point, seeing as how King is dead. But I just feel like if they wanted to, they could have shown a little bit more about it, I guess is my point. Like, they didn't have to just make it at the very last second thing. Like, they could have done a lot more with his backstory because he is an important character, but he hasn't been, what is the word, prioritized.
Yeah.
He hasn't.
Yeah.
He has these few moments where he shows off Tam and he like stays a mystery and we get it. Like, he's supposed to be a double agent, but that doesn't mean that you shouldn't like delve into a backstory when you have a good opportunity to do so. You know what I mean?
He's a triple agent though, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he was working for himself the whole time. I mean, that part is clear. But what I'm saying is, if we were going to find out that he was going to triple agent us, like, why couldn't we get at least a little bit more to tease that? Like, that doesn't really seem like a...
Yeah,
like, I wasn't really
Yeah.
surprised when that happened. You know what I mean? That didn't surprise me. That's what I'm saying. So if it didn't surprise me either way, then teasing me either wouldn't have hurt. You know what I mean? It just would have at least showed me.
You know what surprised me though? When Morihyu fucking kneeled in front of the king, and I'm like, all right. And then what also didn't surprise me was the fact when like he poked the young Che, or the gatekeeper or the opener.
Yeah,
You know, the
from
one
the
who's
six.
gonna open the gate. Yeah, from the six.
The original.
He poked her in the
Power
chest.
user.
And then he just interrupted her when she said, like, you poked me. Yeah, that's where you... And then he did that whole enemy shit where, like, yeah, if I touch you here, you die. And that shit didn't surprise me when, like, it turns out he was just actually helping. If I didn't know any better, like, I could have sworn Morihyu was going down that path of fucking betrayal. Because I'm pretty sure we all read that part where he was just talking to the king at one point and he was pretty much getting inside his head.
Yeah, once I saw the betrayal happen, I was like, oh, this makes sense of why Mori would kind of betray them, because he wants his real body, because that's been the thing for a while with Morihyu, was
Yeah,
like the fear of him being like vanishing once Mori Jin's there.
Yeah.
You know,
Pretty much he wanted to find an identity. He didn't want to just be a Mori clone.
yeah.
No, it goes beyond preservation. Like, he wants to, you know, to survive, you know, and it really just kind of makes you think about, oh, like, yeah, like in this situation, I guess we wouldn't be wrong to assume that he would want to do that, you know, whatever it takes. And I don't think that a lot of people were hating on Mori once they showed that little side. Like, when I saw him kneel, I wasn't thinking to myself, oh fuck, here we go, nah, I hate this nigga, you know, like all of this shit is bullshit. Like, I wasn't thinking that at all. The very first thing that came to my mind is, oh, he's really just trying to do whatever it takes to survive right now. You know what I mean? Like who knows if he's gonna. I still like. I was like you, Gerry. Like a small part of me, like in the back of my mind, was just like he was a good guy through and through. He's still probably gonna be a good guy. He's probably just doing this until he gets power up really quick, and then he's gonna turn around and just beat the shit out of him. All the same, one other thing that I would mention, not really about Morihue, but just about like the dynamic that he had with everybody in general. I think that people are gonna remember this moment. People are gonna remember and talk about this moment, and it's gonna be a lot. Like they'll go constantly come back to it as we like delve more into the later arcs. You know, it's like Danny said earlier, there are all of these super special moments where we really needed Morijin and he wasn't there. And it's just basically everybody learning to fend for themselves, to survive for themselves, and making use of what they had, like Morihue, for example. You know, so it'll be a situation where even if Morijin comes back, because to me, honestly, he still has like what, 5-6 more floors to go.
I think he has I think it's 4. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure. I shit you not. I think that they're going to make him stuck. I think that he's going to be stuck on a floor for a long time. Like I'm talking about years in his realm. He's going to be stuck there versus like, like just a couple minutes in the world, like how everything's been going. Like it'll be probably like a decade or two before we even see Morijin come back. And if, everything's all said and done after that point, then it's really going to be that, that discussion where it's just like, where the fuck were you? We had to do everything while you were gone. Like everything's went to shit. Like this is pretty much how things went. We're now at this point where we're really seeing like the disconnect between having like an all powerful being, but still having to go through the bullshit of surviving all of this stuff because he's not there. He's not around you.
Yeah, I get where you're going. My one problem is on Morijin's side is that now that he's with Iplo, he could kind of see through the fox bead, and it almost feels like they're watching in real time, and it's like, oh, we have to hurry, but it's like, yeah, but the time dilation is different, right? It's just gonna be weird. Like when he finally breaks out, at what point is he gonna show up? And
like if you don't break out at that moment, it's already done.
He's definitely going to show up, I think, before this fight is resolved, for sure. He's going to show up at the very last moment and do the final 1v1 fight, right, with R. That's probably what's going to happen.
I think it's going to be the opposite. I think that he's going to show up after everything is said and done. I think that by the time that he actually does manage to come back, a lot of people are going to be dead. And the ones that aren't going to be dead, they're no longer going to be on his side. I think that the world is going to change really radically. Like I said, after everything that just happened, there's a whole bunch of destruction. They're going to have to do a time skip one way or another, or at least a montage like for every month or so that they're going through all of this to rebuild Korea, to rebuild the world, to rebuild society. And by that, there's going to be a lot of changes, a lot of different mindsets, a lot of new perspectives, and all without Morijin, all without borrowed powers, all without, gods and monsters. So they're going to be fucked. And there's going to be a lot of like despair and depression and, disregard for like mercy and all this other stuff. I think like it's going to turn into a warring arc. You know what I'm saying? Like basically like some Naruto shit where at the very end, all the fucking all-out ninja war shit. Not to say that every country is going to be against each other, but I just think that we're going to have these new, this new society that R is trying to build versus, Mujin Park and his like resistance society. And I think that that's pretty much what's going to come ahead in the next arcs that we're coming into. Like we're just going to see a whole bunch of like civil war, basically. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I see. I would agree, but my only thing is Morihue's like he's about to die right now, unless like something happens to get his limbs back, right? Because using the real staff was too powerful for him, so he lost all of his limbs. And it's like, as much as all the crazy stuff is going on, we still have to have our main character involved, whether it be him or his clone. So until they figure out what's going to happen with him, like if Morihue's there till the end, like if they fix him somehow, then yeah, I could see Morijin just not being there at all until the very end, like you're saying. But I really like what they did with Q's Joker once he got his like level 2, like his Bankai basically. Like the different powers that he could use, that was fun. I thought
2-card pickup.
Yeah.
Pandemonium.
Yeah. 52 card pickup. Yeah. And then the last, but I know what you're talking about, Jerry. There was like the Joker card that plays at the very end. That had a specific name. Yeah, I can't remember what it is. I thought Hercules was great.
J Doggy was fucking excellent.
Yeah, like Samuel,
the fucking quarterback dude.
Samuel himself, I was like, he's pretty meh. But once like Hercules kind of like took possession over him and started fighting, I was like, yeah, this is really great. And what was also wild is like he has 2 national treasures, and they are the actual weapons that Hercules used himself back in the day.
One of them is a national treasure. The other one is the original. The weapon. They don't call them national treasures if it's the original weapon.
It has a different name, huh? That's right. Yeah. And
the whole fight with like the underground king, the homeless king or whatever. Oh, I don't even know if that was his fight.
Oh.
Fuck. I don't know if that was his fight. But I remember him doing something. I think it was him just throwing the weapons with Mori Huey against the king.
That was a great moment.
And that's when he started just throwing them all, because he pretty much used everybody who was giving him help. And that still wasn't enough to beat him.
Yeah, it's that like manhwa trend with villains like this. Like in Noblest, like the final enemy there, it was like kind of the same thing. He just kept getting more and more OP, and it's just like it felt really hopeless. What threw me off was how crazy those 2, I guess they were priests that worked directly under the king, like how strong they were with their transformations.
Yeah, the
bishops. Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah, I don't remember the names, but the black guy.
Yeah,
that guy was my favorite.
That guy's die hard. That guy's willing to die over and over again for the king. And like, especially when like, what do you say? He's like, all right, guys, you guys fall back. He was like, God bless you, sir. And then the chick was like, but our victory. And then she's like, did you just fucking talk back, you stupid bitch?
It was sorry, hold on. It's Pexius, Byron, Lee Sojin, Travolia, Ultio, which was R, Majin, which was the guy that we were talking about earlier.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The white-haired guy. So pretty much all of them up to this point that we're at now have been revealed and are, already taken care of for the most part. Yeah, I think they all look really cool, and I think their powers are really dope. What do you think is gonna happen with Jin Taijin, with Mori's grandpa?
Yeah, Taijin, interesting thing here. So the main reason he's been captured is the king wanted to make him the next god of fight, which I was like, oh, that's such a weird way to say it. Just say god of war. I think that'd be a better name than god of fight, We haven't seen him since like all this shit hit the fan. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen because, all the power got diverted to R, obviously. So yeah, I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Taijin. If I had to guess, he's probably he's going to get broken free and he might join the fight. I think that'd be cool. Yeah, I guess he would help Morihyu with the fight is what I would guess.
He really brought fucking Rachel from Tower of God in this though, because that was Andre's fucking wife or ex-wife, dude.
Rachel, yeah.
Oh
yeah,
my
basically,
God.
Right?
Let's just get this on record. We were talking about this off record. It doesn't have anything to do with God of High School, but I'm just going to say it because I wanted to say it anyway. Rachel has no depth. We're going to talk about Tower of God eventually. I've said this off record because we were talking about this earlier, but I'm going to say it right now just so it's in this episode. Anybody and everyone who's watching this or listens to us, if you're reading Tower of God, send an email. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I personally don't feel like Rachel has any depth to her at all. 3 seasons of Tower of God. Remember I was telling you earlier, Danny, out of all the times that we see or interact with Rachel and all the times that we have a chance to look into her backstory, the only thing that we know about Rachel is that
she's a
she
bitch.
Knows Bam's mom. That's it. That's it. That she just knows Bam's mom. She doesn't know how she knows Bam's mom. Doesn't know where outside that they knows Bam's mom. How long they've been together. Anything like that. That's it. That's 3 fucking seasons. And Rachel's just still a giant fucking cunt. That's it. That's all I had to say.
I think the biggest thing that's on everyone's mind at this point, who's ever read God of High School, is what's going to happen with our boy Daiwi.
Yep.
Pure shonen.
Daiwi and Mira,
His
bro.
final moments were pure shonen. Really fantastic stuff. And, you called it, Oscar, about like his, power being sealed by the king. That's what they eventually explained, when, he was protecting the door. Yeah, I'm curious to see what's gonna happen, man, if he's gonna get revived by R or not, because he's dead now. And I'm not gonna lie, I think he's gonna stay dead, is my bet.
That's what it feels like, huh?
Yeah.
Honestly, but I feel like somebody's going to win the God of High School tournament. They're going to be like, I want him alive again.
I think a lot of people are going to stay dead, my friend. Like, I think this is going to be the start of a whole new wave of people. Like I said, to me, it makes sense if we get, some sort of time skip or something like that, just because it happened before. The last time skip was only 3 months. And was it 3 months? It was 6 months. It was half a year because of, like, the destruction of Korea. They had to, rebuild the entire thing under Nox's money. So who knows? The damage this time around seems a lot less than last time. So maybe if there is a time skip, it'll be around the same amount of time. So that way, if it's not too long where we don't already see like moves and plots being made, But I'm just really excited to see if they are going to bring back people, how are they going to bring them back? If they're not going to bring back people, who are they going to bring in to really like stand in their place? Because these people are very important. We're talking about main characters that you need to replace at this point. Like, if you're just going to throw everything, I wouldn't say throw everything away, but like if you're just going to kind of push everything aside and you're going to bring in more new characters, are we going to see them tie into these old characters somehow? Or is it more or less like they're just up and coming new people with the same powers or probably on par with those things and then run into them in the future? If anything, R is probably going to take a hold of their souls or some bullshit like that and like turn them into enemies. And then we're probably going to see some shit where we end up like converting them back into allies or breaking free from R's powers, or who knows, just some bullshit.
Are we going to throw universes at each other?
When we were reading the Oratok arc and they were talking about, how obviously the gods are just up there. It's not like they're in their own space. They're watching and waiting. All Morihjin had to do was use 100% of his power and they were going to notice. And that's why the old three gods of fight came. So I really think that it could be on that cusp where like we're just really waiting for like everybody to get their shit ready and gear up and then just come in and just really like start wrecking havoc, Like, I'm not gonna discredit the idea of literally people throwing galaxies at each other, like if it was Gurren Lagann or some shit.
I think it's going to be a balance between like bringing new and old characters as a main focus of like the power scaling, right? Like we're saying galaxies and stuff. The way these new characters have come in, that I think it's pretty apparent that are going to stick around, like Samuel, for example, right? Even like Mujin Park mentioned that, like, oh, he's still kind of green, but if he practices more, like, he'll be a real threat one of these days with that Hercules power. So to me, that says, oh, yeah, he's sticking around. He's going to be training with our main characters, and he's going to be joining in the fights later down the line. Of course, Iplo Park, he's probably going to get a bigger upgrade if he gets more attuned with the Fox. Of course, Mira, we didn't mention it really, but she's now a direct contract user with her power.
Oh, right.
Like her hair turned white. But I think when it comes to the writing here, what I appreciate is that he still brings in fan favorites in an interesting way, right? Like we got the punk rock kid that uses his jacket, and he was very minor role. But then when we saw the hammer user, I forget his name, the adult that's like just got into college, who's like got the high school GF.
Yeah, and his little GF. Yeah, and his GF.
Yeah, like the way he came in, I was like, hey, it's cool to see him back. But what was...
And then the loan shark too, fucking blasted in, and apparently they knew each other too. That was cool.
Yeah, they knew each other back in high school, and like he wants to fight him specifically, and I'm like, oh, I never thought he would be considered that big of a deal. Like I don't think he's that still big of a deal, like plot wise, but yeah, lore wise, I'm like, oh wow, so he's got something, huh? He used to have a fire in him that's not really all there anymore, kind of thing.
He's a learned man now.
Yeah. So I think like, and of course our boy Bake with his, with the new waifu Uma, with that.
Oh my god, when they did the heart thing, dude.
They did the heart thing. Yeah, that was great,
That shit was so good.
Yeah, dude, that was super kawaii, bro.
So yeah, he's gonna be a big player still. So I think it's all about like where they want to put the characters. That's what I thought was interesting with Daiwi for a long time, because he was holding it on for a long time in these fights, just pure fighting, like nothing with the borrowed power. I was like, that's pretty cool, man. But, like I've said before, there's going to be a moment when they just can't keep up anymore. And this arc was the moment for both Mira and Daiwi. And with Mira, with her determination and desperation, she broke that glass ceiling, like we mentioned, and now she's on another level with everybody. But then with Daiwi, the fact that he can only do so much with his power shield with one eye, we see what happens with that. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what's going to happen with our other fan favorite characters that haven't really been here in a while. But I think we're going to see more new characters than old in the future.
It generally just makes you feel like this is where you feel like you would put in most of your attention towards this manga. Like this is where it really I guess resonates with you the most. And I would agree with you. A lot of this arc is what really makes me want to look forward. I get really antsy in my panties about wanting to read in advance about what else is going to happen. This is what this arc makes me feel like. I want to know already what happens next. That's like the good thing about us doing this in paces. It is something that I do enjoy looking forward to. I don't really feel this way with certain manga or manhwa.
So yeah, man, it's going to be crazy to see what happens. And again, I just hope that whatever the next arc after this, I hope that transition's smooth. But I feel like that's going to be a long time from now. So cool, man. I think that wraps us up for Gata High School. And so let's hop in over to some good old Lookism. We're covering Jake Kim 3 through 6 here. Yeah, a lot of build up, I guess, to what's going to happen coming up. And this is mainly just to build what the relationship between Samuel and Jake is, right? I think that's the whole purpose of this arc.
Yeah. Big deal.
And with Big Deal. Yeah, and the background with that. Most of it I thought was good. Me and Oscar, we talked a little bit earlier about this, and just our feelings on how it's one of those things where this flashback arc is sort of explaining oh, this is how everyone gets connected. We get Adam's whiteboard and we start putting the lines together and all these names. And that's basically what this arc is doing.
Isn't he the author? Seems like the author's doing that before he pops off anymore. From right now, they showed a little bit of Johan's song. We already kind of knew that he was kind of just he already tried to join Big Deal, and we never really got much of that. And I guess this is it right here. His story with Big Deal.
Yeah, how he's connected to all of this, right?
Yeah.
It shows what his naivete. You know what I mean? How naive it is, as he wasn't introduced into the gang life yet. Before Gun and Tom and all of them were a thing. But I do like that he took that one tidbit of advice away from Samuel, where he's just stop crying. You keep crying all the time. Nobody gives a shit. The world doesn't give a shit. And it's just it's true. That was the very first thing that he really took as general advice, apart from anything that Zach and Mira had told him before. So we can really see it's not just physical prowess that he's obtaining. He's building off of all the strong people that he sees in his life. Also, what kind of middle schooler has so many fucking tattoos? Jesus.
The Delinquent series, man. That's how it has to go. Well, I think at that point he was, they were in high school already, right? Because it was,
They were in middle school. One of the things that we were talking about a little bit earlier off record, there's a lot of interconnecting lines between people in their pasts. I'm not going to lie, that really bothers me. I don't really think that it has to be that way. For one thing that we were referencing, or I was referencing another delinquent manga called Clover. In this manga, essentially what happens is the main character knew two of the other main characters from the past, but moves away and then comes back. So as he's introduced to these characters that are going to be revolving around everyone in the series, he's making first time connections with them. And I think that's important. But one thing about Lookism that really doesn't make sense to me is that all of these people connect with each other in the past, whether if it was at one point, whether it was very small, or if it was like one very crucial moment where they were going to remember each other the next time they saw. You know what I mean? It bothered the fuck out of me that at least in the, I know that I'm talking about like the most recent chapter that came out rather than the other chapters that came out before, but it really bothered me that Ollie Wang was there and just kind of showed up really quick with Eli's baby mama and was just like, hey, let me join your gang. Like, let me be in Big Deal. And that bothered me because when we went back, when Hostel was still a thing, and we were looking at Ollie Wang and his background and how important that Eli was to him, how everything that Eli did, said, breathed, shit, anything, that he wanted that. He wanted everything that Eli wanted. So why now, all of a sudden, as he's coming, you know, he just so happens to have met like Samuel at Big Deal, and he's asking him, hey, let me join your crew. You know, like, I'm just thinking to myself, why?
No,
like, that wasn't your character at all.
Oh, okay. Like, I agree with that. Like, yeah, he was all about Eli. Like, just to. But you gotta remember, like, he didn't just like want to be like around Eli. This dude really legitimately wanted to be Eli.
Yeah.
Like, he wanted to follow all the steps for him, and even like for him to be at that point where what he thought Eli was just a vicious fucking like a delinquent, and that's what ultimately what Ollie Wang wanted, was just to be a delinquent to be feared or some like something along those lines.
He just wanted to be in a family. Like, he wanted to be in another family besides his own. But that's my point.
No,
like,
exactly. So, like, he hears a Big Deal and he sees of all this shit. He would see all this shit, and then that's where I would think that that would be the drive for him to actually go, because, you know, he don't give a fuck. He'll just go straight up. He's like, hey, yo, where's Big Deal? I want to join up. Like, that's honestly, that seems like his character, where he just literally just goes up and just to do it like right away. And Jake Kim seems like that kind of person, just to really not give a shit, but almost kind of give a shit. But at the same time, you know, it feels like you ask anybody about their gang in this manhwa, you're just gonna get the shit fucking kicked out of you. But
yeah,
with this one,
definitely your shit pushed.
It didn't happen to Ollie, because I guess he was talking to Jake or some shit.
No. They mentioned that he hit him. Like, it was one of like the little.
Oh yeah, they gave him a good smack.
Yeah, they gave him a good smacking. Like, but he just doesn't. So yeah, they're talking about it. But like, I agree with what you're saying to an extent. I just personally feel like after all of the character development that we've seen in the backstory, I just know that there's a very big jurisdiction between wanting to be a part of a gang and wanting to be a part of a family. He was aware, right, when they were on top of the roof, when everybody was together, he was aware that they were not acting like a gang. They were acting like a family. And he was isolated from that. There was more than one time where Ollie Wang is like, hey, I'm here. Like, let's cool. And then Eli and everybody else would be like, just go home. Go to your family. Right? That's what they say. Go to your family. No, don't go back to your gang. You know what I mean? So, like, that right there, to me, like I said, is a clear jurisdiction between, okay, you wanted to be in a gang, maybe because you think it feels like a family.
That shit
but
could be also
that's not
Hostel.
what Eli wanted. That's not what they were saying. You know what I'm saying?
Hostel?
That's two different things. Yeah, Hostel.
But isn't this going on before or after Hostel?
This goes on. This part happened before Hostel was created, but this is happening at the same time once Ollie met Eli.
Yeah,
that's during the early stages of Hostel. I think this is probably before they got the tattoos. Yeah. This is like probably right before.
Yeah.
But like I mentioned to you off air, Oscar, I think with the reason Eli wanted to join was not to just be part of the gang, but like to, like Gerry said, become like Eli, and like he needs to get stronger for that, and that him joining the gang would help him do that.
Ollie?
Or Ollie, yeah, excuse me.
I mean, ultimately, know that he got the best kind of training because Gunn ended up training him, so there wasn't really an issue with that.
That could have been after too. Like the fact that he just went out to Gunn and then Gunn was like, nah, and then he just kept beating the fuck out of him, and then just saw how resilient he was. Shit, because like they're literally like so close to each other right now, like in the same vicinity. Wait.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
I think to go off more with why characters are showing up here now in the past, like it's all kind of connected kind of thing. I think that plays into how important Big Deal is, as far as like when it comes to like gangs and all that, and like the delinquent side of things in the story. And it's also to show like just like how important like these groups are gonna be in the future. And by having like Johan and Ollie Wang show up, it's like, oh yeah, this is where they recognize like, oh, here's another generation that's gonna continue on with us. You know, I mean, even with at the end where with Goo and Gun showing up, you know, like that's also to show like, oh yeah, like these are like very key moments that really set up what's happening in the present. I don't mind the Ollie Wang stuff, but yeah, I could definitely see the problems there. But as we're talking about connectivity, I agree with Oscar. My biggest pet peeve, though, final reveal we got in the latest chapter, where we get the reveal of Jake Kim and Samuel. Their connection's a lot deeper than just this flashback. The fact that they're also related, that's taking it a little too far.
Okay, 1 second aside from that, just really quick, I want to talk specifically just about Jake Kim. Okay, now when they introduced Jake Kim versus the Jake Kim that we're looking at now, I honestly feel are two completely different characters.
Yeah.
Like down to the personality, down to the intrinsic values that they have and hold with each other. Like we were looking at a very virtuous Jake Kim here. And back when we first met him, he was just some shithead. You know what I mean? And we're like to me, I'm thinking to myself, okay, clearly the only thing that we're missing is the moment where he disconnected from this point. It's probably happening within these next couple of chapters, you know, because that's basically what Gun and Goo do. They just fuck everybody's minds up for some reason. But yeah, I think to myself, okay, so we basically, you know, we had a chance to see another Vasco. That's what I feel like. Because everybody holds Jake Kim up to high regards. He's very valiant. He knew who his dad was, and he knew what kind of life he would lead into if he had followed that route that his dad did. And he's like thinking to himself, I joined Big Deal because of
It didn't feel like a gang.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a gang. It feels more like a family, right? Or he didn't say the word family, but it's just basically what I'm going based off of, you know. I don't understand like how these characters can be so black and white. I guess that's like the very special thing about this series and this the author. The author is personally, I think that the author has a very real way of looking at life and looking at relationships and being able to make just the most traumatic experiences to get somebody to change completely 180. And at no point does the reader ever think, yeah, no, that's totally wrong. Like every single time like somebody's gone through something traumatic and their personality changes and they like for whatever reason will just flip 180 to thinking the other way, I think to myself, this is very valid. Like if I was going through this personally and I ended up going through the same situation, of course, like I would think to myself, like everything is going to change at that point. And so that's one thing I can definitely say that Taejun, I don't even know if I'm pronouncing the name right, Taejun Pak, the author, like he's super good at that. But I don't like the way that he intermingles all of his characters as if they all had to meet each other at some point or another. Like to me, that doesn't really feel like it should have mattered. You know what I mean? But that was just my big deal about it.
Yeah, I just think it is one of those things though that happens in series like this. I mean, I'd say this is definitely more seinen than shonen, but you know we do often see that in certain shonen series eventually at a certain point, right? I think it's always one of those things that helps grab the audience more. Because that's the one thing that always hypes people up in flashbacks is like, oh man, no way they were connected like this. And then, you know, they would go back and check and it's like, oh wow, this makes so much more sense. Or this like has a totally different meaning when you look back on interactions with those characters before. So that's probably like one of the reasons why they went this route too. But again, I still don't like the fact that they're brothers. And I have a feeling that Jake's not going to know at the end of this arc. Because I feel like something is definitely going to happen with Big Deal. And it's going to, cause like big friction between Samuel and Jake. And that's going to turn Jake's personality to what we see today.
I think I was already under the impression that at that moment that Samuel found out, he had told him that. So he doesn't know. Jake doesn't know.
No, he's just shocked and reeling back and trying to fucking.
Yeah, he doesn't say anything
Put it together,
when he hears that name. It just goes to a flashback of Samuel when he was young, and he sees the photo of their dad with Samuel's mom, and then it cuts into Goo and Gun showing up, and that's how the chapter ends.
Shit is about to get spicy.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how the next chapter is going to start off, because I feel like it's going to focus on Gun and Goo more, and then we're going to cut back to Jake and Samuel probably, and then go from there.
Goo is probably my favorite asshole.
Yes.
Goo is definitely the favorite. Definitely. I love Gun. Like, I love his. Well, I like Gun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Ultra Instinct is already super played out to me.
Yeah.
It's super dead
else.
to me already. But Goo, oh man, I love him so much because he's so witty and he's such a shithead.
Yeah.
And there's no doubt in my mind that every time he smiles, you know he's gearing up ready to betray you. You just don't know how he's gonna do it. And that's what I like about him.
I like how he was driving Logan. You guys remember that shit?
Yeah,
that shit was
he's making all his little deals. You know, Okay. One of the things that stood out to me the most when they were still doing the fourth affiliate for the previous arc that we were just looking at. Remember that Goose said that he already has some secret friends. He's got about 4, I think, or 5, or if he was inviting Daniel to be the 5th one, I don't remember. So he's already got a team, and we already know that Logan is one of those people. So there's at least 3 other people that we're unaware of. And one other thing that I wanted to mention to you that still hasn't been revealed yet is that remember that the reason why Logan is there in the first place is he got ran out of town because there's somebody stronger than Logan waiting for them back at Daniel's hometown. So just wait until this person now comes into the picture, whether he's even affiliated with the other groups or not, because obviously it's gonna go more beyond these 4 groups.
I wonder if and when that's gonna happen. I think whatever's going to be happening after this arc is definitely going to be the thing that pushes the story a certain direction. If we're going to go more of all that stuff, or we're going to just go more with the 4 affiliates and all that.
Who's to say that how long this will take, though? Because if I remember correctly, we're on group number 3, right? Because there was Dog Gods, then there was Hostile. This is group number 3. Right, because the last group is this is Workers, right? This is Workers, right?
No, it's a big deal.
No. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the 4th affiliates. You know, they're called Workers, right? They were the Workers, right?
Workers are the 4 affiliates. That's what they're called.
Okay, so there's still 3 other affiliates, and Samuel is now the 4th one. You see what I'm saying? So
Samuel's just,
I can imagine
Samuel's just joining the group that took over God Dog's spot. I thought that's what the thing was.
So Samuel was given the 4th affiliate position. He's taking over for Alex. So they shit-canned Alex, and now he has his company. Jake Kim is released, so Jake Kim is making big deal. You see what I'm saying? I think that the guy under Sam is going to try to betray Sam, obviously,
Alex?
and try to work with Jake. No, not Alex. Alex is out of the picture. Alex was the fat bald dude. Yeah. I'm talking about the guy that was with Dog God.
God the dude with the piercings?
Yeah, the old Dog God leader. Remember? The one that now that works under Samuel now for the 4th affiliate?
Yeah, K-Town.
Yeah, the guy that set up
exactly.
Daniel and them to fight each other. Yeah.
Yeah, K-Town. Yeah. The fucking
I'm thinking that he's gonna be the match that lights the fire between like the rivalry between Jake Kim and Samuel, because they're out now.
K-House, my bad. The K-House. Yeah.
So I'm thinking he's gonna be the reason. Like, he's gonna do some shady shit one way or another, and he's gonna be the reason why Jake Kim is gonna start looking at Samuel, and Samuel's gonna start looking at Jake Kim, vice versa. They're not gonna be liking each other now, because now Jake Kim is trying to revive Big Deal or whatever the fuck, and so is Samuel.
I could I could see him trying to do that, but I think Samuel's just going to be too smart and he'll figure it out. But I think it depends what Jake Kim wants to do right now that he's out. Is he going to go directly after Samuel, or is he just going to be doing his own thing? That's the big question, I think.
I think the most part, he wants to get revenge on Gunn, right? So I know that when he broke out, that was basically the first thing that he's trying to do. He's trying to probably get Big Deal together so he can, because he knows what Gunn wants. I think that's pretty clear at this point, right? He's trying to get money. He knows why he wants the money, so he's really, really trying to give it to him, and like he's just got all eyes on that for the moment. And I feel like he's just gonna end up. I feel like a lot of people are going to be playing into Jake Kim's hands. This arc that's coming up, I feel like he's going to really be the mastermind into all this, and people aren't going to be realizing that they're playing into his plan, except for Samuel. That's the only thing that I can imagine, because, you know, they come from the same dad, so I imagine that they have to have some sort of similar mindset. I'm going to say that now that we have a lot of Jake's backstory and his personality of what he used to be, I think that hopefully when they show him moving forward, he's going to still hold on to a lot of that. But now he's using a motivation for revenge to kind of, I would say, systematically try to destroy Gunn. Like, more or less, I think what he wants and what Daniel wants are the same thing. They're just trying to go at different ways of getting it. Because obviously, Jake is doing it purely out of vindication, and Daniel is doing it because he just wants everything to be done. So this is one thing that I am looking forward to looking into. I think Jake is honestly he's one of my top favorites right now, man. Like, he's a piece of shit for sure, but he's definitely one of my top favorites.
Yeah. What I'm willing to bet that will probably tip Jake over into why his personality like this is now is we're probably going to see how Gerry Kwan got his scars on his face. And, you know, it's probably not going to be something nice, and that's going to really piss him off and push him over the edge. I think I'm on your side with Jake, and he's going to go after Gunn as soon as all this is over. But I think that's going to be a while. I think we still have a lot more to cover in this arc before things get resolved. I would guess like probably 8 more chapters, I would say. So I think with that, guys, safe to say we could go ahead and wrap up this episode for the week. Thanks for swinging by. If you have any questions or comments, what are you guys' theories? Let us know. unversedpodcast@gmail.com. And of course, we'll bring it up on the next episode. And if you want to know when the next episode's out, you can follow us on social media anywhere you go. Thanks, guys, and catch you on the next one.